Hey everyone. So I recently picked up a new laptop and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. I wouldn't call this a review because I'm not really going to go into a huge depth like you would see in actual reviews. Instead, I'm just going to cover what I think is important when purchasing a gaming laptop. I bought an Asus laptop with an Intel i7 and an RTX 2070 for a little under 1200, I think it was last year. And at the time, I thought it was a great deal. But the more I used it, the more I was disappointed with the gaming performance. I'll talk about this a little bit later. So I started looking for a new gaming laptop. I ended up finding a MSI laptop with an Intel 11800H CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, a 3080, and 1 terabyte storage for 1480. Now this is open box, and you're always going to take a risk with these. But for that price, I was willing to take the chance. And by the way, as of making of this video, Newegg raised the price a little bit, but it's at $15.20 right now, which still isn't a bad price. And I'll leave a link to it in this at the description at the end. The laptop itself was in excellent condition, I would say, and it still even had the plastic on top, which makes me think this thing was just a straight return and no one even used it. Upon booting it up, I was greeted with the standard Windows 10 startup, which gave me an option to go to Windows 11, which I did choose. And then it just continued to do the Windows 10 setup and didn't go to Windows 11, so whatever, I guess. Once I got into Windows, I tried installing a couple things. And then, of course, I had Norton popping up telling me things like Steam were not trusted or safe to install. So, yeah, as soon as I'm done with this first part of the video, I'm just going to go ahead and wipe the computer, put straight Windows 11 on it, run some benchmarks, see how it runs. As of right now, though, I'm pretty happy with it, besides the obvious bloatware. Norton was really the only thing I honestly found besides a few MSI bundled software things, which are just part of the MSI ecosystem, not really bloatware. So this is the laptop itself. As I was saying, it still has the plastic on it, and it's basically brand new in my opinion. As far as ports and everything goes, you got an aux jack, USB 3, and on the back, actually, it has your things like, it's got an HDMI 2.1. It's got your power right here, which kind of looks like a USB-A. And then a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet port, which is pretty nice. That's something better than even my desktop has. And I believe we have a mini display port right here. And then around the other side, we have two USB 3.0, 3.0, and I believe that is everything. As far as the hardware goes, you have a 1080p screen that is 240 hertz. There is no HDR or anything, and MSI claims IPS level display, which I'm betting just means it's a VA panel that's been tweaked to look a little bit better. As far as your hardware goes, you got your RTX 3080. You have something noteworthy. It does have a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapter, which is honestly better than my X570 motherboard for my AMD desktop system. And it also has a Wi-Fi 6E, which apparently is the 6 gigahertz spectrum, something I wasn't even aware about. And then, of course, you have your Intel 11800H 8-core CPU. As far as performance goes, you're looking at about 11,500-ish. I ran this test a few times and it varied in between by a couple hundred points. Now, to put that in perspective, in my desktop computer, I have a 2080 Ti, and it scores roughly around 14,000. So there is not a huge difference when it comes to performance between those two cards. And you also got to think, since this is being a 3000 series cards, it probably handles ray tracing better. That is something else I'm going to test later. I'll do a little bit of testing on games like Cyberpunk, because I think that's probably the only ray trace game I actually have. But it's worth giving a shot. I don't expect much because that is a really demanding game, and even my 2080 Ti doesn't pull it off very well. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and format the PC, run this thing again, and see how much better it gets after all the bloatware is gone. So for disassembly, this thing is not the most friendly thing in the world. It's got, let's count them here, 1, 2, I've already unscrewed these, by the way. Let's see here. 3, 4, with the lovely illegal factory seal. Well, to be fair, it doesn't say void if warranty void if removed. So by the way, these two right here, these are the same size screw. All the other ones are what's also a different size. So this is the 5th one. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And that's not it either. So now, from what I've seen online, you have to pop off this piece over here. I'm going to go ahead and do this off camera and come back when I'm done. So yeah, this thing was kind of a pain. After undoing all the screws, you then have to, you can already see it's kind of loose here, pry up underneath here, pop that piece up and off, and then you're going to kind of get right in there on the edge underneath the bottom piece and the side of the machine, and you can see now the bottom panel will start, you know, popping off. This is all one body piece, so it makes it kind of hard to do. But yeah, you can hear it popping off. I'm gonna need, let's see, I'm gonna have to move this camera to do this, but yeah, that's basically how you do it. It's kind of a pain in the ass. Not a big fan of this. My Asus laptop I have, it was just like 6 screws and the bottom just popped right off. So once I get this off, I'll go ahead and show you guys the inside of it. All right, so here we have the inside. It looks like the laptop does come with 2 8GB sticks here. I'm going to be honest with you, I think this is kind of disappointing for a laptop of this caliber. I would have liked to have seen 32 gigs, so 2 16-gig sticks, which I'll probably upgrade to later. You got one M.2 slot that's already occupied with a 1 terabyte. And then you have this second one right here, which I already have a 2 terabyte drive I'm going to go ahead and stick in. It does look like it has some sort of padding or something right here, maybe thermal conductivity stuff. Not sure, but I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. I'm going to order another set of RAM. It would have been nice to not have to buy 2 16, you know, basically a 32 gig kit. It would have been nice if it's just 1 16 stick in here, but at the same time, if you don't want to upgrade, you would then been stuck with single channel RAM. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this thing back together and give you my final thoughts. So while in the settings of Cyberpunk, it looks like the preset it's putting at is ray tracing of ultra and texture quality of high, which kind of shocks me. But everything else, it looks like it's set it on high and ultra. Level of detail is medium, ray tracing on, everything's on, it looks like ultra. Let's go ahead and run the benchmark and see what it does. Now, as far as how loud this thing is, the fan is fairly loud to keep this thing cool. But at the same time, I've heard laptops that were a lot louder. This one isn't incredibly offensive, I would say, to my ears. But it's not the best either. So I don't know how accurate this benchmark actually is, but it seems like the frame rate is pretty darn good, I would say. I did run around and just, you know, shoot people, evade the police for a while, and I found if I put a preset of high with ray tracing on low, it gave me an average of about 60 frames per second and didn't really ever dip down lower than that. All right, well, there you go. We have, yeah, an average of 85 frames per second. Ray tracing is set on Ultra, 1080p. No need for VSync because I believe this is a G-Sync enabled display. So it actually runs it without any, vertical sync or tearing or anything, which is really nice. Yeah, I mean, this laptop runs this, game pretty well. I'm imagining anything else you throw at it, it'll probably do the same thing. So that's pretty much everything I'm going to show for this. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up this review and give you my final thoughts. So earlier I mentioned I was disappointed with the performance of my last laptop that had an RTX 2070 in it. I've been using laptops for over 20 years now. My first gaming laptop had an NVIDIA 6600 graphics card in it with 256 megabytes of VRAM. And up until just a few years ago, you could look at laptop's graphics card and figure it would just perform less than its desktop counterpart. Nowadays, though, we have so many different variations of video cards, you practically don't know what you're buying. While looking for a new laptop, I stumbled across this website right here, laptopmedia.com. It gives you 3D Mark scores of pretty much every laptop video card. And now 3D Mark isn't the only benchmark you should look at. You should definitely look at games that you play, those kind of things, if you can find them. But this definitely helps you break down the video cards and gives you a good idea of what's what. Now, for example, when I was looking for a new laptop, I decided that I wanted a 3080. But while looking at the reviews, I ended up finding there was a ton of different cards for 3080s. Then I stumbled across this site. Look at this. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different 3080 video cards for laptops. And some of them are less than, you got a 2080 that's better, a 3070 Ti that's better, a 3070, a 3070, 3070 Ti. Like, you would just think that a 3080 should be better than these other cards, which makes this incredibly confusing to anybody looking to get a laptop. So this was just kind of a rant. My disappointment was, like I was talking about, I had the Max-Q version of the 2070. If you look at this, it's down here at, no, that's the Super Max-Q. Mine's the standard Max-Q. It is number 30, and it is beaten out by a 2060, which just should not happen, okay? They should really name these better. So, honestly, this is just kind of a rant. It's really not that important to this review. I'll leave a link to this website below in case you guys want to take a look at it before you decide to buy or anything like that. So my final thoughts on this is for $1,500, this is a solid deal on a laptop with an RTX 3080 and an 8-core Intel 11th Gen CPU. My only complaints are just the ability to get into the laptop to upgrade it. It is possible, and it's not too difficult once you know what you're doing, but compared to other laptops I've worked on, it's not a great experience. Another thing is only having 16 gigs of RAM, when a device like this, in my opinion, should clearly have 32. That's kind of another downside. And then the last one is the fact that they put in a 720p webcam in this thing. I don't know about you, but I think this is just a complete waste on a gaming laptop. Who honestly is going to use that? I feel you could have once again taken that money instead and maybe stuck it into putting more RAM into the laptop. Other than that, if you're willing to take a chance on an open box, this is a great gaming laptop that's well worth the money in my opinion. Also, I kind of want to apologize for the audio quality in this video. I got a new camera and I have not gotten a mic yet for it, so I'm just using the built-in microphone, which I know is pretty horrible. So, thanks for watching this kind of review. I'm going to have more content coming out in the next few weeks when the new Elder Scrolls game launches or the expansion launches. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.